That's your money saying it's time for a McDonald's run. Because with new McValue at McDonald's, you get more than you expect. Like buy a 6-piece McNuggets and add a McChicken for just $1. Your money says let's go. Get more than you expect with new McValue. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory with great warranties and great safety features. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors Guarantee. What does that mean? That means they go over every vehicle with a fine-tooth comb. It eases the buying experience. And a terrific service department, whether it's quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, they handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Very pleased to bring in one of the absolute best in the business, Mike DeCourcy. Sporting News, Fox, Big Ten Network. Mike, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Hope you're doing well.
Absolutely.
So we're in an interesting time because everybody's waiting on the House settlement to finally be ratified by Judge Claudia Wilken. We all know that I think this will lead to some other lawsuits, but what is your thought on the basics of this settlement that you think have the greatest effect on the product we see on an everyday basis?
Well, I think that for the immediate future, once it's approved, and so we're looking at theoretically 26, 27, because remember, a lot of what's happening now is happening at the pace that it is because schools are trying to use the advantages that they have to use old NIL, the current version of it, as well as the revenue sharing to try to increase their rosters. That will not be an option if this is approved. Probably it will not be an option in 26, 27. Mm-hmm. And so I think there'll be less movement. There still will be a lot, but probably less than there is now because there won't be as much money available. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the fact that there won't be as much money available is why we will see that this settlement challenged in court fairly quickly. It doesn't make sense to me to try to get by with assuming that you can take something away from a class of people and expect them to say, okay, that's fine.
You're right.
That's just not how things work. And so I think some of the plan here, this is purely theoretical. This is just me hypothesizing. I think some of the plan here is to try to get this somewhat more controlled while they try to get some congressional action together that would allow them to have more stability, so to speak.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think it's a very fair assessment. The product itself, people will complain about the transfer portal, but they complained initially about free agency in professional sports. And the oddity was that in free agency and professional sports, attendance went up, TV ratings went up, and I'm seeing sort of the same thing happen in college sports. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yes, and that's what the numbers say. The numbers show that I'm not saying it's getting massively more popular, but
right, yeah.
It is in riding the various peaks and valleys that somewhat are relative to people's circumstance and economics and which network has the games and how competitive the particular games are. This was not a down cycle. This year when we had so much movement, this was not a down cycle. It was a terrific year for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. They had a great year at the very start of it. The first two rounds were the best in more than 30 years in terms of television audience. The Final Four championship game was the best since 2019.
Yep.
So it's not getting hammered by all the people who say this is awful. And I don't know how many there are numerically. They're loud. They're in my mentions all the time on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I don't see the impact on the audience. And that was also true in football. I mean, you had 108,000 people at Beaver Stadium for the playoff game against SMU.
Yep.
Didn't look unpopular to me.
Yep, looked pretty popular to me. Agreed. So the NFL draft goes through. Like everybody, you were all over it. What were your general impressions of it, including the world-famous slide?
Yeah, I think what I can't quite understand, to be honest with you, Steve, is how the draft analysts looked at Shedeur Sanders and said, this is a top 20, top 35 type player.
I agree.
Could he be the second best quarterback in that group? Yeah, because it's like not the best class, right? So, so there may be one first-round draft choice in the class, and then the second best quarterback is a second, third, or fourth, or whatever.
Right.
That's possible and feasible, but a lot of the draft analysts said, no, he's really that good. And all I see, Steve, when I watch his tape, when I read those very same analysts saying the arm's not that strong, it's not a great arm. Okay, so then he must be just unbelievable, like Lamar Jackson, in terms of his ability to move. No, he's just kind of an average athlete. Okay, so what are you telling me? You're telling me that he is going to be some version of Drew Brees and Tom Brady. So you're telling me that this guy is going to hit the lottery like those two guys did? Because that's two guys in the last quarter century who were elite NFL quarterbacks without elite NFL arms. And they're the only two. There have been guys who've been okay, better than average. Brock Purdy doesn't have a super strong arm. He gets by. He's a seventh-round guy for a reason.
Yep.
So that's where the sort of division came in. If all the analysts had said, look, we think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback relative to this class, but he's probably a top 60, top 70 player, all this would not have happened in terms of the drama, in terms of what happened in the draft telecast, in terms of his quote-unquote fall. Did he fall from a possible second-round pick to the fourth? Yeah, probably. But I think that he was given a lot of bad direction, and I think it came from people in and around the league who told Dion that he was a hot prospect when he was, in fact, not that.
Well, this is something I talked about before the draft, so I did not Monday morning quarterback this. I said, look, he has what I refer to as a SAM problem, S-A-M, size, arm strength, mobility.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's like the.
I left out the size part. Yeah, right? I left that out.
Size, arm strength, mobility, and I said I didn't see it, and that's the reason why. Those are the three reasons why I didn't see it. That doesn't mean he can't succeed at this.
Right. Yes.
I mean, right. I mean, guys can succeed. You can be a lower round pick. I mean, Dak Prescott's a 4, Russell Wilson's a 3, Drew Brees a 2, Tom Brady a 6. As you mentioned, Purdy's a 7. You can do it. It's just that I think because of his last name and everything around Colorado, he got hyped beyond words by certain people, and we all had to watch it.
But Steve, it's not that. What is odd is that it wasn't like the voices who were hyping him. It was the analysts.
Yeah, that's what
it was. Daniel Jeremiah, top 20, Mel Kiper.
Yeah,
but that's what makes it odd.
Yeah,
is that it's Daniel Jeremiah who said he was top 20, who's really good, and Mel Kiper who said he was the best quarterback, and. Even Dane Brugler, I think, had him as the second best quarterback, but only a top 35 prospect. Well, it's still 35th. That's still ballpark first round.
Right.
And so I honestly was surprised by all of it. And as someone who follows the Steelers, when they started talking about him, I started asking people, okay, tell me why. How do you take the guy with the Sam problem as your quarterback and say we're good. And again, the curiosity has. I watched the NFL Network telecast, and
so did I.
As Goodell came out and Rich Eisen said something like, "Ooh, this is a momentous occasion here," to try to capture the moment. And then Jeremiah said, "Well, they had Kenny Pickett, who had a Sam problem, and they don't want to do that." Well, okay, but why do you think that this guy is different? That was the thing I couldn't figure out. Why did he think that he had all these issues and could succeed in spite of them, and yet the Steelers were going to look at all those issues and say, "No, we're not doing that again"?
So let me ask you this question, take it from this angle. You have to do a lot of this when you're doing their job from video. How different are players to you, or how confirming is it to you when you actually do, as Mike DeCourcy, get out there, get your hands dirty, and see people in person? How different is it from the video?
Yeah, when I do basketball, it's better to be in person, and I can really feel how a player, how good a player is, and what he is capable of doing. Most of the football analysis I've done over the years, and I'm not an expert, but I mean, I did see Aaron Rodgers in his bowl game and think, "Ooh, that's something." Yeah. And so and there have been a few others over the years, and I did see Kenny Pickett's career and think, why are the Steelers doing this? So I don't bat 1,000, but I've been right once or twice. But with basketball, see, I all of that's from television basically. Mm-hmm. But with basketball, I think you can see things on film and know that a player is special, but when you're in the gym with them, like when I saw LeBron the first time at the ABCD camp, I knew immediately what I was seeing. Right. I mean, it didn't take and I think it helped to be there and to feel how big he was and how skilled he was at the size he was, to understand that this was something that I had never seen before.
Yeah, because in what I do, I'm out and do see a lot of games. So, for example, Jackson Dart, I saw him play in person. So I had a pretty good, at least on that day, to go with the video I watched. Did I think he was the second quarterback in the draft? Yeah, I did. Only because I saw the size, I saw the mobility, I saw the arm, I saw at times the escapability. Instead of watching a video, and then in watching games last year, he showed me a lot of the same traits. But I never saw Sanders play in person. I saw Will Howard play in person, but no. So if you get a chance to see somebody, it makes pro or con some impression on you along the way. I do have to ask you, you're a big Champions League guy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Well, I will tell you, when I grew up, it was cool or accepted or expected that you would think soccer was dumb. I mean, that was, as an American teenager in the 70s, you thought soccer was dumb. And it was one of those things that was sort of biblical to someone who loves sports. It's okay, all the sports, but not that one. And then I think around it was 1990, and the World Cup for the first time was on TV. It had been bits and pieces before, but TNT or Turner, one of their group said, "Okay, we're going to put it all on TV." And so I said to myself, I'm going to watch as much of this as I can stand and see, what is the world thinking here? And I got hooked. It was it was the coolest thing I'd seen. Everything, maybe it was just that it was new, but now it's 35 years on, and I still love it. And as things sort of came over the years, it was at the start it was just the World Cup, and then when more games started to be on U.S. TV, started to understand the international leagues a little bit more, and Champions League and the Premier League and all of that, and I fell in love with all of it. And I'm not what we call in the soccer world a Euro snob. I mean, I love MLS too.
Sure.
I was in Cincinnati for 18 years, and they started before I got there, so right around the time I got there. So I used to drive up to the crew games all the time. My wife would go along, and not the biggest soccer fan. My wife has seen 2 Premier League games, a game in Serie A in Italy, I think 3 World Cups, and she doesn't like the sport. So that's I'm sure there are people out there saying, I'll go instead.
So next year, what's your team, by the way? Is there a team?
In the Premier League, it is Liverpool.
It is Liverpool. All right.
Yes.
Yes. Jeff Tarman, Dick Girardi are both big Liverpool people. So big Liverpool.
Yes, my Liverpool fandom came from. You can see this on YouTube. You go on YouTube, Michael Owen, 1998 Argentina goal, and it was the most amazing goal I had seen to that point in my 8 years of watching soccer.
Wow.
And that's where he played. And so when the game started coming on US TV, that became my team.
Wow. So World Cup next year, it comes to North America. So will you attend? And if so, have you picked at least a location to attend?
Well, I'm hoping that I get credentialed to cover it. Very
Awesome.
much hoping that. And I'm a little disappointed in that the U.S. games, the first 3, the group games, are all on the West Coast. There's 2 in L.A. and 1 in Seattle.
Okay.
I hope to be able to pull that off. But then the final, I believe, will be in New York.
Yeah.
So that'll make that easier. And I'm hoping to cover the final. That would be one of the really cool things. To get a chance to do that. I covered the World Cup in Brazil in 2014, and it was just amazing. But I did only the games that were played at the group stage in Sao Paulo. So I was down there for about 16 days, and I covered 4 games, including the opener. And the opening game, Steve, Brazil against Croatia, you could see off in the distance the way the stadium was structured. It wasn't completely enclosed, so you could see the neighborhoods from where we were.
Yeah.
And when Neymar scored the opening goal, about 20 or 22 minutes in, there were people setting off fireworks in the various neighborhoods. And it was just like that moment, I'm never going to do better. Not even Leitner's shot in Philly is better than that.
In New England, growing up, when Bobby Orr scored against the Blues and he took the little trip in the air, you'd have sworn every neighborhood was at the game. So they're all there. What would it mean for the U.S. to at least win a round? What would it mean and what would it mean for them to get to 16 based on U.S. soccer right now and where it is? Yeah,
I think, honestly, I was listening to a podcast the other day that called Qatar, I don't know if they said, it was either a failure or a disappointment. I think they said failure.
Yeah.
And they may have been thinking, the way the conversation went, he may have been intending to mean the Copa America from last summer. But I thought getting out of the group that they were in last time and getting to the round of 16 was pretty good. I would have liked to have seen them advance, obviously, but they didn't play well. They made some mistakes.
Sure.
And they got eliminated. But I think it would really be helpful for them. I think it'd really be helpful for them to get out when they get out of the group. First of all, they have to do that, or it'll be a calamity.
Right.
And then to advance, I think the structure of this tournament is different. I think you get out and you go to the round of 32, not 16.
Right.
So I do think you have to at least win one of those. And then if you could get to the quarterfinals, I think that would be considered a significant success. And, of course, all that's going to depend on the draw and how they play and how much Pochettino how much progress he can make. So this summer they will play in the Gold Cup, which is usually kind of a throwaway sort of tournament, not always considered that important. It's huge this summer. They have to get better. They have to use that tournament to get better, and they need some results in that. I don't know that they have to win it. It would certainly be nice. But they got to get better, Steve. If people don't see progress, I think there's going to be a lot of complaining on the way into next summer instead of a lot of celebrating.
Exactly. I mean, you need to get some momentum in this thing, and momentum for themselves, momentum for the program, but momentum with the fans. I think that would be important. So you probably didn't expect to talk so much soccer today, but I wanted to.
Oh, I'm always up for it, Steve.
No, I love it because Mike and I talk a lot of basketball, some football, and other issues. I figured we'd have some fun today. It's May, so let's have some fun and talk some soccer today. Mike, you're the best. I always appreciate you. You know that. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Steve. Thank you.
Mike DeCourcy joining us on the show today. Sporting news, Fox Sports, Big Ten Network. Always does great work and one of the great guys out there. This half hour being brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.